Hello and welcome. Sorry, we are a little late. There we go. A
We're
little
alive.
late to the party, but we're back. We're back. It's been about a 2-week hiatus now for this show. Unfortunately, I had some, real life things come into play, and I could not show up for these shows. But hey, look, it's been 2 weeks. I'm revamped and ready to fucking go. And I'm ready to win some fucking money. And that's exactly what I think we're gonna do because I love the NFL slate.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And the college slate, I took very little time to do, but here we are. So, as always, I am your host AJ Ryder. Alongside me, to my
Over there.
left, if you're looking at it probably to your right, is my good buddy and former tag team partner and FCW tag team champions of the world, Tyler Cintron.
Often imitated, never duplicated. It's good to be back in the chair after stuffing my face yesterday. Me and Badger got about food for probably 5 people. So we're going to be eating that for a couple of days.
There you go. Unfortunately, again, I didn't celebrate Thanksgiving yesterday. I ordered a pizza from a local pizzeria, and I have those leftovers, which I will be eating here later tonight. And I'm going to celebrate maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Thanksgiving's not a big deal to me. I'll eat just to eat because it's an excuse to just stuff your face full of shit. But look, we had a really we had I would say 3 good games yesterday. And the Lions and Bears was not one of them.
No.
Because that was one of the most unbelievably shitty things I'd ever seen in my life. At one point in time, I don't think I'd ever seen a quarterback complete more than 90% of his passes and look that fucking bad. And I'm talking about Jared Goff, who was at one point in time was like 14 for 15, 14 for 16, and still look absolutely terrible.
Yep. That's well, you got that flashing stat of that meme that Jared Goff has never won a game without Sean McVay, which I think is absolutely insane.
Hilarious. But it makes sense because he's fucking bad. Like I mean, I am, well, obviously I'm a Packers fan. Obviously, so are you. But so I watched every single NFC North game that happens because I feel like I have to, because I want to know what's going on and I want to know where the Packers are going to place in the division. And I mean, even when he was 9 for 9 for 83 yards at one point and a touchdown, and every single pass he threw looked so bad.
Yes.
So ungodly bad. It was either a great catch by the receiver or just an absolute duck to somebody who was wide open. I mean, I had never seen somebody with that high of a completion percentage look that completely fucking terrible. Like what Jared Goff did should be in Canton, Ohio, like its own section for how completely bad it was and how good the stats kind of made it seem.
Yeah, even like early on, those flat routes to DeAndre Swift where he was wide open, it's like, yo, bro, he's wide open. Like, you just got to
get what was it? What was the Raymond? Whatever his name is, whatever, I don't know his first name. Raymond made him look, or will eventually make his stat line look so much better than it should have been. Hawkinson, same thing. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those passes that they caught, most quarterbacks in the NFL will go 50-50. But
yeah.
they made Jared Goff's stat line look like he was a stud. And it's so bad because he did not play well.
No, and just the whole ending to that game, leave it to us to actually both lose on the outcome, with you taking the Bears minus 2.5 and me taking the Lions money line, and us both losing at the same time.
Well, when you have a head coaching matchup between Matt Nagy and Dan Campbell, I mean, there is no winners there. There really isn't. Because obviously all the reports of Matt Nagy supposedly was fired on Monday after this game, and now he's not fired. And Dan Campbell, who I've said multiple times this year, does not need to be a head coach in the NFL anywhere.
Nope.
Like whatsoever.
Nope.
But here we are. When you're the Detroit Lions, I think realistically, Clay Helton could take over the Detroit Lions right now, and he's got just as good of a chance of winning the game as Dan Campbell. And everyone knows how much I have a massive distaste for Clay Helton. But,
yes.
But look, I mean, fuck, I might be able to win a game with the Detroit Lions. Who knows?
Yeah, and just the back-to-back timeouts and not using them earlier. And my favorite thing that they kept repeating was that Dan Campbell is calling the plays, and he's never called plays before in the NFL. And
he's called them for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
It's like that was your choice for the head coach for your NFL franchise? The guy is
I mean, if you told me you hired Dan Campbell as like the head coach of Illinois State or – like a division, Vanderbilt or something like that. You know what I mean? I get it. Okay. Like he's a motivator. Like motivators are like a actual, like they're good coaches sometimes. But here's the thing is motivators who don't know X's and O's and don't know how to manage a game don't work in the NFL.
Right.
It works in college because college, I mean, you could make Dan Campbell the head coach of Kansas, and when a shitty college program like that shows up every game, like I would take Dan Campbell maybe as the head coach at USC strictly because I know at least we'll be ready to play every single game. Are we going to win a lot? No, but as long as I've got a good offensive coordinator, which I do right now, okay, cool. I don't need him to call the plays. I don't need him to be involved at all. I just need him to make the pregame locker room speech, and that's about it.
Get him fired up.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, that game was pretty abysmal. Even that Cowboys-Raiders game was, a lot of fireworks, but holy Toledo, a lot of penalties. Goodness gracious.
Well, the whole day was filled with penalties. Oh. The Lions had 9 holding calls in a row, I felt like. I mean, it's almost like the NFL told the officiating crews on Thanksgiving, like, you call everything, even if doesn't matter what it is, just call everything.
Yeah.
Because God, I mean there was multiple teams with 10 plus flags, 9 plus flags. It was unbelievable. And
I actually didn't even watch the night game. Yeah, that was
how about Anthony Brown for the Cowboys having 4 PI calls?
Yeah, probably
within 7 plays. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, so it was good fun, I guess, if you want to call it that.
It was good fun. I mean, I was a Raiders 7.5 better. So once we got to overtime, obviously that was a winner. Wow. So then I got to enjoy it. But that being said, obviously we all love Thanksgiving football, regardless of how bad the teams are that play. There is a lot to cover still going into the weekend, and that's where we'll start. And let's start with Saturday. Well, unless you got anything in like the Washington game tonight, let's roll right into the Saturday games.
You want to start with the big one?
Well, I mean, there is one on the schedule that looks pretty big. I mean, I guess if you want to, talk about that, we can. But yes, we should, because I don't think Michigan covers.
I don't either. I think in the beginning, the pass rush might get to C.J. Stroud a little bit, but it's going to come down to depth. I mean, Ohio State's got 3 first-round NFL wideouts lined up outside, and literally an NFL running back in the backfield. At some point in time, those matchups are going to get exposed, and Ohio State's defense really, really, really stepping up last week. You expect Cade McNamara to lead the Michigan offense to be able to score with Ohio State's? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, look, Olaf would have been the first round draft pick last year.
Yes.
And I mean, what a fucking stud that guy is. Like I like him a lot. Wherever he goes, I believe he will have a massive amount of success in the NFL. And you're talking about a team. Obviously, the Oregon loss, uh, it is what it is. But I mean, you lost to your rival, like in like the biggest game that you're gonna play up until this one. It's not like you were looking ahead to Indiana
Right.
at the time. I mean, they've gotten their shit together, and they've looked. The loss, I think, kind of brought them down to reality. Where when you look at how they played against Indiana, Penn State has a great defense, so it's hard to like judge the 21-17 win, but and then they kicked the living dog shit out of Maryland, which they should have. I mean, they did what they should have. If this wasn't in Ann Arbor, I wouldn't feel like kind of shaky about it because I just think that in Ann Arbor and the Big House for Michigan, Ohio State, I think you could go either way, and I wouldn't blame you for taking Michigan here. But at this point in time, Ohio State just seems so much better.
Yeah, and we've spoken through it a few times. I know we haven't talked in a couple of weeks, but it feels like it's Georgia, then Ohio State, and then just kind of everybody else, like to the point where Michigan might be the fifth best team in the country right now, and they would still get beat by 3 scores tomorrow and still be the fifth best team in the country with how everything's shaken out. I think Ohio State is going to handle business tomorrow, but I also think we're in line for a lot of exciting bowl games outside of the college football playoff as well, with how top heavy that really Georgia and Ohio State are making this out to be. I think there's going to be a lot of exciting matchups, which we will get to eventually.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, too, you're playing for your playoff lives, which when you're talking about betting, especially which is what we're talking about. Michigan 9-2 against the spread. Ohio State 6-5. Ooh. I mean, it's a massive massive difference. And look, if you think Michigan, man, I almost want to take Michigan just plus the points because maybe they'll lose by a field goal. Who knows? I do love the under in this game because the under is set right now at 64.5.
Well, that's a lot.
It's a lot for a game like this, where I do believe that either, it's funny in these type of rivalry games where the defense gets hyped up more than the offense. You know what I mean? Like the defense is typically the one who comes to play as opposed to the offense, because the offense is the offense. It's mostly scheme and the opportunity you give your playmakers. The defense is the one who's like it's an effort play. Like look, we can beat this team. You just have to beat that one guy in front of you. And if you want to beat that one guy in front of you, then that's how we win this game. So, I mean, whoever's defense, I would wait, honestly, to see one possession by either team. And then I'll make my decision who I'm going to bet realistically from there, because I would like to see how Michigan takes on Ohio State's offense. Are they going to get a pass rush or are they not? Because if they do, okay, now we have a game. If they don't, then it's like, okay, Ohio State all day. And that line won't change a whole lot in the first quarter. Let's be real. It's 7.5. I mean, even if Ohio State goes down the first drive and scores, and then Michigan gets held by the Ohio State defense, I mean, what are you going to get? A 10-point line? At that point, I know how both these teams are playing. I still might take that line.
Yeah, honestly, I'm fired up for what I think is going to be a good football game. But I think in the end, I think Ohio State's athletes are going to be too much come quarter 4.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it on the surface, yeah, 100%. I am there. Like I said, if this was at the shoe, yeah,
Blowout.
give me Ohio State all fucking day. The only thing they have going for them right now, really, because I'm not a big Harbaugh believer for sure.
Especially in big games.
Yeah. Has he ever beat Ohio State? No.
Nope.
Yeah. So Ohio State minus the 7. Take it now because I would guarantee. I will tell you right now where the money's at because I have that right in front of me.
Yeah, I wonder what the public's going to do because the last two.
Ohio State, 86% of the money minus 7. Wow.
I think the public might have wisened up after being heavy on Purdue and Michigan State the last 2 weeks against the Buckeyes.
Right. But that's what I mean. But right now, Michigan's a covering team. So, I mean, we're not talking about who's going to win this game because that's a lot different than who's going to cover and who's going to win, you know? So, if you think Michigan's going to keep it competitive and close, sure. I don't blame you for betting Michigan at all. I really don't. To anybody who's going to.
Yeah, if you tell me you're taking Ohio State, I'm for it.
I get it.
Yeah. I'm for it. Like, I'm not going to say no that, it's a bad pick, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a tough one.
Especially right now, you get Michigan plus 7.5. You get them a touchdown. You get them they lose 31-24. You cover. I mean, that's kind of where it's at, especially when like we're a gambling show, so let's talk about gambling. And I think, obviously, that line may move a little bit more. If that line by tomorrow moves to 9, I might take Michigan.
Yeah, I saw it at 8.5 earlier today because I've just been keeping tabs on a few games.
I've been told right now the best you can get Michigan is at plus 8, according to Action Network. Who they look at all of the sports books and tell you where the lines are at. Like, it gives you the best lines for a specific team. Right now, plus 8, which is right now. So it could have gone up to 9. Who knows? But
Circa's got them at plus 7, and Red Rock has them at plus 7.5.
Yeah, Bovada right now has them at plus 7.5. I believe FanDuel also has them at 7.5 for those of you who are on like the major ones. Yeah, if that line moves at all, and it very well could, given the amount of money that's on Ohio State, I don't blame you for taking Michigan. I like the under though, 64.5 or 65, whatever you got it at.
Yeah, because I mean,
I don't know if you get there.
I mean, the total didn't hit the over last week, and Ohio State put up that many points.
Yeah, like to me, the safe bet is the under if you're going to bet it, and then if you want to go sides, then do your thing. But to me, right now, I think my favorite bet in that game might be the under because I do think it'll be competitive, and I don't know if it'll be a shootout like the line says it will. But that being said, so that's a big one. What other noon games are you playing?
The Georgia Bulldogs rivalry game for them might not play the game because they have been known to shut it down in the fourth quarter when they're up by large amounts, but they're 21-point favorites for the first half.
First half, okay.
Georgia Tech just got wiped by Notre Dame last week. And Georgia's just been wiping the floor with everybody. I am jumping back on that Georgia first half train tomorrow.
Well, I mean, it's one of those plays, too. You could have played it every week and made a lot of money. I mean, like, how do you view last week when they were minus 52.5 and they didn't cover? Like, well, they're minus 52.5 and they won 56-7.
Yeah.
To me, them beating Tennessee as handily as they did, I mean, they covered 20 points against Tennessee, and Tennessee, who I think we've mostly considered a pretty solid SEC team.
Yes.
They did that. Yeah, I would say that. I mean, if you told me you were taking them to cover the spread as well, I would agree. So the first half, obviously, you've betted a bunch and it's worse. Um, a lot of thought, a lot of logic, a bunch of speculation, but in the end, will you get rich? Well, no, I'll never get rich on anything. No offense and no explanation needed, but would you wouldn't change an outcome. Heard it all for many, and I mean many years. Okay. Not sure what DRS is trying to tell us right now in the comments, but
So you
okay.
got some fine Kentucky bourbon in his veins.
Yeah, it seems like I mean, we're not betting single games thinking we're going to get rich because I mean, unless you want to bet your entire bank account at the time to get rich. But hey, man, if you can come out with a couple $100 more, which we have before,
That's the name of the game.
That makes for a lot better week than what you started with, you know.
Yeah.
So D-Rest, who always a follower of the show, I'm not sure what he's talking about, but if he's, you know, tasting some whiskey right now, I wouldn't blame him. That being said, let's move on. Noon games, early games. What else?
I've been looking at Baylor -14. However, probably going to talk myself out of that one and watch it hit. I'm looking at this weekend like a lot of teams in prime spots to make some statements for the committee for playoff seeding types. You know what I mean? Like Baylor's defense is obviously bananas good. Texas Tech got shut out last week. So I'm looking at that. Like, are we comparing apples to apples if they're jockeying for position with that Baylor, Oklahoma State positioning? I don't think Baylor's got a shot at getting in with a 9-2 record. I don't think they're going to put a 2-loss Big 12 team in. So that's where the style points have kind of talked me off of it. But nothing else is really jumping out. That Florida State game. I hate both teams, but if you look at the trends and trajectory of both teams, if you're going to play it, take the 3 points from Florida State.
It's unbelievable. We're in a world right now where Florida and Florida State are going to play, and they're both 5-6.
Mm-hmm.
Playing for the opportunity just to get into a fucking bowl game.
And
like that is unbelievable. Like what? Like as a society, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
as the state of Florida, what are we doing? I mean, there's no good football teams in the state of Florida.
I mean, I have lived 31 revolutions around the sun of this planet, and I don't think I've ever seen one of these schools be this bad, let alone both of them.
Both of them. Yeah. I mean, Florida State's had a few down years the last couple of years, but
their down years are still 7-5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the fact that these two teams that were playing, Florida State and Florida, for the opportunity just to get into a bowl game is unbelievable. But here we are, and here we are in this COVID-ridden world, and that is exactly what's happening. I actually like a lot in this early slate that you did not mention. Wake Forest -5.5 against Boston College. Again, I have said many, many times, I do not believe in this Boston. I think Boston College is fucking not very good at all. I think they're even worse than their record shows. Missouri just proved that close game that they played, they just got their ass kicked by Arkansas, a good team. Wake Forest -5.5 is, to me, is my lock of the whole morning slate, or early slate.
I'll jump on that with you. Wake Forest has not done me good over the last month.
I mean, I get Wake Forest has thrown some duds in there. They have, but look, Boston College is as good as they were early in the season in covering the spread. They have been equally as bad in the last 6 weeks. I think they're like 2-4 the last 6 weeks. And look, I mean, you're talking about covering a 42-point spread against a 1AA team. You couldn't cover 39 against UMass, and then I mean, Yeah, Boston College is not a good football team. Let's be real. And Wake Forest, I think, is one of the actual better teams in the ACC right now. So minus 5.5 on the road. Yeah, 100%. I'll take that. The under also, that I think it's like 65 or
Yeah.
something stupidly high. I would probably lean towards that too, because I don't think that they will even score that many points against this Wake defense. Not that the Wake defense is anything like super like great to write home about, but Boston College is typically relied on the run game most of the time, and I think the front seven for Wake will shut that down enough to the point where I don't think they even make this competitive. 5.5, I did move it to 10. Wake wins that by a lot. The other one that I will take also, and I can't believe you didn't mention Kent State at home.
1 point dog.
We know the Golden Flashes are a home terror. It's hard for teams to go into the old Kent State arena and win games there. So I took Kent, given the spread. I will miss Maction. It ended badly for me because Rocky Lombardi didn't play in that last game for Northern Illinois, but yeah, that's the world we live in. So I'm going to take Kent over Miami, Ohio. I think Miami is not a terrible team, but I think Kent, especially at home, they play great at home. I might even take the Akron Zips, getting 28 on the road. It seems like a lot for a team who is pretty decent at covering the spread, especially in MAC games. So I don't know if I'll bet that specifically, but that's where I'm going to lean. I'm going to stay away from the Liberty Army game because Liberty, who knows what the fuck, how good they actually are. And I had one more, I believe.
It's your boys.
Rutgers plus 2.5 at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even need to say that out loud to know that. Yeah. In there. Bullberth's on the line for the Terrapins and the Scarlet Knights. Give me AJ Scarlet Knights at home.
Yeah, give me the
Play the college football.
Play the college football. Gotta love it. Fucking Scarlet Knights at home, getting points. Yeah, all day long. That'll be the one I miss. So, Dira, I know, but what if you can really parlay true wins and turn, say, 100 into 10K?
Well, that's damn near possible, but it's a good thought.
I mean, you can. I mean, what's his name on Thanksgiving turned like $1,000 into something on like a random player props, but
yeah, we're like 2+ TDs out of a couple players, and it hit. I saw some of those floating around, and it's just like, man, I wish Lady Luck was on my side.
I mean, look, I will say this. I mean, numbers don't lie, and especially too, if you're comfortable enough with the teams that you watch, like if you're betting on games and putting in parlays of that magnitude into teams that you know about. I mean, which is why I probably put the Packers into every parlay that I play, strictly because, like, I knew they were going to lose to the Lions last week. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, because if there's going to be one NFC North game they lose, it's going to be the Vikings. They're not going to lose the Lions. They're not going to lose the Bears. I mean, that's how it always happens. I mean, so I mean, it just takes like a lot of time watching a lot of these programs because you know when they're going to win, you know when they're going to lose. Yes. I mean, I bet USC every week, but do I know when they're going to lose? Yeah. Like I 100% know exactly when they're going to lose to some of these teams. So I mean, like if you're sitting there in Tennessee and you're a big Volunteers fan. No, it's not betting. I just said I bet the Vikings last week against the Packers. That's what I mean. Like if your best opportunities to win money are the teams that you actually follow, as long as you're objective about them. Because who knows better than you if you've watched every game that they play?
Yeah, I mean, case point when Michigan State played at Miami this season, and I brought it up. Michigan State's probably the money line dog that you should take this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, those are the teams, like, never bet with your heart, always be objective, especially on the teams that you know a lot about, and you watch week in and week out, because you know exactly how they play and how they match up against a lot of those teams. So, like, again, I won money. I bet the Vikings. Did I want to bet the Vikings? No. But I did. And guess what? I won money. Same way with the Bears. I watched the Bears every single week. I live in Illinois right now. I've always watched the Bears. I've watched every Bears game for the last 30 years. And I know when they're going to win and I know when they're going to lose. Like, if I've made more money on any team in existence, it's probably been the Bears in their games, because it just you know how they play and you know when they're going to show up and you know when they don't. But afternoon games, primetime games, what do you got going in college football? Because we spent a lot of time in this. Let's
Are you taking any of those weird time kickoffs with like Louisiana?
The 2:00 game, UTSA -10.
Yeah, that was another.
Yeah.
Well, I also saw Charlotte on that slate getting 9.5 points on the road. I was wondering if you're going to ride with the Niners again.
Ooh, I didn't even look at that game. Oh, against Old Dominion?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a 10.5. Oh, yeah, Charlotte all day. All day. All day. They do have the second worst strength of schedule in all of college football, but I don't care. I still might take them.
I mean, obviously, Auburn, Alabama is going to be the one that's getting all the attention in the afternoon. Bama has not looked like Alabama.
Where are you going in that? Are you taking somebody or no?
I would probably take Alabama -20.
Oh, I'm going to take Auburn.
TJ Finley or whatever their backup quarterback's name is awful. He is. Yeah, like I think this is a spot for Saban just to come out and just smack them.
Yeah, but it feels like we say that all the time about Alabama, and they don't do it.
And this could be the C.J. Stroud struggle, and then Bryce Young excel against not the greatest Auburn secondary. I mean, we've talked about it having that one kid that's a first-round NFL pick, but then it's you and me out there in the secondary for Auburn. So that's where I'm liking Alabama's passing game, and I feel like Saban's just going to keep the foot on the gas in this rivalry game.
Yeah, it's difficult. If Bo Nix is playing, I'm Auburn all day. Because, again, like we've talked about Auburn many times, Bo Nix plays well, they can cover. If he doesn't, they don't. But it's almost a coin flip at this point. But I would have, I almost, weirdly though too, because I think Bo Nix in like these bigger games seems to struggle and not live up to the hype, as opposed to when they play like Ole Miss, where it's not like you're playing the Alabama or the Georgia. Obviously, then he shows out. This Finley kid, I mean,
It's not good.
Well, I mean, but you're basing off a very small sample size. It's sort of like Mike White the first time he played for the Jets. Everyone looked great, and then what did he do when he came back the second time after he told everyone he should have been the first overall pick, and he sucked.
That was funny.
Also a topic of conversation that we should cover. But look at Texas A&M. At home was able to cover on against these guys. I think people get scared of just the name Alabama in college football anymore, and they're scared to go after it. Auburn, regardless, I think of who's even playing quarterback, plays up to the level of their competition sometimes. I mean, they surprise us so much because every time they play, I want to bet against them, and every time I do, what do? They cover, they win, they do whatever. I know that they're on a 3-game slide of not covering, not winning, but guess what? They're due maybe 20 points. I don't know. I won't say I'm gonna bet it. I'd say I'd lean that way. But I would stay away from this game probably.
Yeah, I don't think I'm actually going to bet it, but if I did, I would take Alabama to cover.
I mean, if you came out and told me that you're gonna bet Bama -20, I'd get it 100%. But
One of the afternoon ones I think is an absolute lock is Michigan State.
UTSA -10.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. UTSA -10. Also, they're going for the perfect regular season. Do you think they're going to lose this game? They're going to go out there and they're going to kick the living dog shit out of whoever the fuck they're playing. Some shitty school.
North Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, North Texas. Fuck them. They suck. I mean, like, you're 11-0 and you're playing a 5-6 school and it's 10 points. Dude, let's be real. UTSA, the Roadrunners have been the best team out there. They should be in the playoff. Let's go. Anyway, go on.
Michigan State +3.5 at home. Do you think Penn State can actually win a game by more than 3 points?
I see him at +4 some places.
I would say,
honestly, especially at home, I'm with you. I get it. Yeah, 100%.
I just can't envision a world where Penn State wins a game by more than a field goal.
To me, the only thing that scares me, it feels like a sucker line where everyone in the world, and I'll look it up right now, where the money is, because it just seems too small for what we're talking about. Yeah. Oh, well, everyone in the world is on Penn State.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, I will.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's it. Oh, yeah. When I see the public money there, yeah. Michigan State by 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State's played pretty good football the majority of the year outside of last week. Sorry, I mean, Michigan State could still be the 7th best team in the country. Ohio State is just that good. It is so top heavy.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like, I get it, you get your ass kicked by Ohio State, but at the same time, okay, well, it's Ohio State.
Yeah.
So, like, how do I judge that? Like, that just because, like, what, Penn State played them closer? Okay. I mean, realistically, that game also could have been just as bad.
Yeah,
you know, early on, if you get a few bounces the other direction, all of a sudden you're also losing 56-7. Like,
and
that's how football works, people.
And it's in East Lansing. If it was in, what is it, Happy Valley up there?
The Happy Valley.
Maybe
I've played there. I've played there. It's an awesome stadium to play in.
So I might even take them outright just to see where those odds go and sprinkle that a little bit.
Well, yeah, and especially in the Big Ten too, because when you're Penn State, you ain't blowing anybody out.
No.
Like, Michigan State's going to be in that game all into the fourth quarter. Like, Penn State ain't blowing anybody out by fucking 40 points, 30 points. You know what I mean? Realistically, going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be 14-3.
Yeah.
And all you had to do is put 2 drives together and you win the game. That's it.
All right, breaking news. I just got a text from a group chat of a bunch of people that live in the state of Washington.
Ooh.
That say the Washington Cougars will win easily tonight.
Oh, that's breaking. Was it breaking news?
I just got the text.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what? There we go.
Against Washington. I mean, I think 1.5 to me was already kind of where I was leaning regardless.
So we just threw that down live.
Do it down live. Yeah, I'd take that. I mean,
Washington State's actually.
Washington. They beat Arizona State. They played Oregon close. They kicked the living dog shit out of Arizona. Beat Oregon State, even when Oregon State was playing really well too. They got hit by the Jackson Dart. So.
Oh yeah, that's a human buzzsaw there. That kid.
Which, that being said, let's move on to later games, which would be, I guess, anything from 4 o'clock on. Because are you taking anything in the Wisconsin-Minnesota game?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Badgers to cover. I don't think Minnesota's going to score. I really don't. I think last week with Nebraska moving the ball on them, I think that's a good slap in the face and a good down spot for the Badgers to bounce back and just beat the brakes off of them. Is it a biased pick? More than likely, yes, but taking the biased out, 7 points against that team, I'm envisioning like a 24-7 type
Well,
game.
I mean, it's another Wisconsin game where the over/under is like 39 points. So, I
Yes.
mean, it's like every single game they played the entire year. Would I don't know if I'll take it just because they're on the road, but if I leaned anywhere, I think I'd lean towards Wisconsin, especially because the last later half of the year has been sort of where they found their stride.
Yep. I mean,
Where I think early in the year we were, after Notre Dame and Michigan, and we were kind of questioning where they were at, but they've played a lot of really good football the last
they're playing
5
Wisconsin
6
bad
years.
football. Strong defense, strong run game. That
Yep.
Braylon Allen kid is unreal. I love how they always talk about him being 17. I'm like,
But to me, this game could be like 21-14, and I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. Minnesota might not score either. So let's go under in the 39-point game.
the game that I like in the afternoon slate is Virginia covering 7 at home against Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech shot done for the season. I think more than a touchdown is very easily doable for the Cavs at home.
Anything else this afternoon?
Nope.
Oh, see. Well, all right. Well, then I'm going to take SMU minus the 7 at home against Tulsa. Fuck yeah, let's go SMU. I think they're much the better team here. It's not even close to me. I think they run the table at home. I think this is one of the better smaller schools that you've seen. They have ran into some pretty good football teams in their 3 losses. Not their 3 losses, but in like 2 of their losses. The Navy game, Navy's whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, they lost to Houston. Again, Houston I think is very, very good. They lost to Cincinnati. Cincinnati obviously is one of the better teams in the country. So, I mean, yeah, look at Houston, Memphis, and Cincinnati. Like that.
Those good teams.
Yeah, those are good teams. So to me, going against Tulsa, SMU not a great covering team for being 8-3, but I do think they cover here, especially at home. So I'm taking them by more than 7. If I could move the line, I might, because I think they'll run a train on Tulsa. And now let's talk about one of the best covering teams in the country versus one of the best covering teams in the country. Do you think Cuse at home can cover the 12?
Ooh.
That because I mean, if you've rode either of these teams all year, you have won a lot of money, and
Yep.
here we are. They play each other.
I mean, we've talked about Syracuse quite a bit. We've hit on them as underdogs, and we've talked about home dogs.
Dude, I think Cuse home dog. Give it to me.
Yeah, and they're playing for their bull lives. They're absolutely playing for that 500 record for the postseason. I think Dana gets them up tomorrow night for it.
Yeah, I don't think Cuse is like any great team. I don't think Pittsburgh's even like super amazing. No. And if you're gonna give me 12 points at home with Syracuse, I'm gonna take it. Any day of the week. And then of course I'm gonna take USC plus 7.
Well, of course,
BYU.
It has to hit at some point in time.
At the Collie against BYU. Look, here's my thing about USC. It's at home, and we're playing a top 15 school. This is where we shine.
Yep.
I mean, this is the whole season. Like, what else do you have to? I mean, like, what else do you have to do? You have nothing to write home about. Like, the rest of the season, the whole thing's a wash. I mean, you might not make a bowl game at this point in time. This is your championship game. Like, this is the only thing these players have to get up for. I think they do. I don't know if they win it, but give me 7 points at home with USC. I'll take it. So
And Jackson
that's
Dart
how I'm gonna end this. Yeah,
from the state of Utah.
like I get it. I get like he wasn't exactly what we would hoped for last week against UCLA, but UCLA is a pretty solid football team.
Yeah.
They have been at times, I guess. Let's say, they're not great all the time, but they've played some really good football this year. As much as I don't want to say that, but here we are. And yeah, give me Jackson Dart at home. Yeah, that would be like if I were going to maybe squeak out a money line. That might be it. Yeah, I'll sprinkle it, but just because like we're talking about the USC Trojans,
everybody. You have to. We will take it like clockwork without question, without any fear.
Yeah, you got to respect it, man.
You want to know another home dog I'm really liking in that night slate?
No, let's move on. Okay, yeah.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk plus 15.5 at home against West Virginia, who does not play well on the road.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
Give me those 15.5 points. They covered last week against TCU as well.
Wow.
Yeah, West Virginia, night and day difference. If this was at West Virginia, different story. And this has more so to do with what West Virginia looks like on the road.
Okay. I mean, okay. Oh, okay.
It feels weird saying we're going to bet the Kansas Jayhawks in football, but I haven't done it all year. I feel like this is a good spot from everything that we've talked about with home dogs, with them covering, with West Virginia not playing well on the road.
Oh, okay.
Let's rock and roll. Hey, you said probably not. If I'd have said they're just going to beat Texas outright. Come on. We're going to bet on the Kansas Jayhawks.
Okay.
Let's go.
I like it. All right, let's go. Am I going to tell you? Fuck no. But I am going to be very interested now to know how that turns out.
Last chance for our show to actually do that this season, and I feel like I have to. So home dog, I have consistently bet against West Virginia.
That being said, by default, I'm just going to take the Mountaineers. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, it's college football. It's almost like basketball in a sense too, where like you talk about like any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody. I mean, I think Kansas has showed that, especially when they went up against the SEC bigs.
Yeah.
Many times and proved us wrong. So to cover, yeah, let's go. Why not?
Not outright. Taking them to cover.
Well, yeah. I mean, stay with the touchdown. Sure, why not? I get it. And that being said, okay, so let's wrap up college unless you got any games you want to talk about.
I absolutely love Notre Dame beating the dog shit out of Stanford tomorrow night.
Cover 20 though.
Yes, this is the last chance they. They don't have a game next weekend. There's no championship game for them. This is the last impression that they can make, and they did that last weekend against Georgia Tech, and they're going to do the same thing to a bad Stanford team tomorrow.
Yeah. Stanford has played well, though, at times we've seen. They beat Oregon and the whole thing, but yeah, I'd lean that way too. That's not a game I can talk myself into playing. I'd be more likely to take Oklahoma plus the 4.5 against Oklahoma State than I think I would that game. But
yeah, that number.
The big Caleb Williams guy, as we know. But so let's switch over to Sunday, and I don't think there's any reason to talk about every single game. I would say let's just do like what are you going to play like top 5 games? Because so we can wrap this up in a little bit more of a little bit of time. So let's say like what noon games are you playing?
Colts plus 3. They're playing as good as anybody in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Tampa's still a little bit inconsistent. in a lot of places. I know it's the hot hand against the loaded team, but talked about teams coming together, obviously a little bit of Jonathan Taylor bias, but the kid is just playing out of his mind right now, and they're playing their game. They're playing strong defense. They're running the football. It's not like Buffalo is a bad football team, and we look what they did to them with an elite quarterback. So I really like what the Indianapolis defense can provide against that Tampa Bay offense and be able to keep Tom Brady and company on the sidelines with Jonathan Taylor running it at you.
No, yeah, that's one of my plays as well. I'm going Colts at home plus the points strictly because, and I would go money line, honestly. What I think you're going to see in that game is you're going to see an MVP candidate, Jonathan Taylor. And if you don't think he's on the MVP radar, you should, because right now he is playing better football than anybody in the National Football League. That being said, at home +3, this Colts defense has been really, really good. I don't think you're going to – like when you watch Tampa Bay play, and Tampa's not playing good right now. They're not. Like, okay, they beat the Giants like 30-10. Okay, did you watch that game? All the Giants did was sit there and play soft-ass zone coverage the entire game and let Tom Brady throw 5-yard passes that ended up going for 10 or 12 yards. That was the entire story of that game. Yep. Tom Brady didn't play well. Tampa didn't play well. The Giants are just fucking bad.
Yep.
They only scored 10 points is because of a mix-up offensively with Tampa where they got the interception on like the 5-yard line, 3-yard line. Tampa's not playing well. Tampa is a lot worse than I think their even 7-3 record shows at this point in time. And again, I will say it many, many times. Until Tampa's defense takes over games like they did against Green Bay and they did against Kansas City late in the year, to me, this is not a great contender for a championship.
And even in New Orleans in the postseason it was those 3 games. The defense dictated those entire games.
And that's what carried them to a title. And until you show me that defense play that way, I mean, you did it against what? Chicago? Oh, great. Yeah. Everyone does that against Chicago. The Lions just did that. The same shit to Chicago. I mean, it's not like that's a big win. What you've done so far is you've gotten your ass kicked by Taylor Heineke, who kicked your ass in the first round, realistically. And then you beat you lost it. Yeah, you lost to the Saints, and then what? You beat a really shitty New York Giants team. That's what I've seen you do the last 3 weeks. You're not playing good football. Everyone can suck Tom Brady's dick and call him the GOAT, but
I'm not.
Yeah, well, obviously we don't. McCockner doesn't. But look at this. I mean, they're not playing good football right now. The Colts are. The Colts are playing very good football right now. Again, MVP Jonathan Taylor. Let's fucking go. Until that defense shows up and plays like they did in the last few games of the playoffs last year, then I'm not a huge believer in Tampa Bay as world beaters and especially as favorites.
Yeah, and on the road, it's kind of a formula.
Colts are playing some of the best football right now, regardless of how you feel about Carson Wentz. So, yeah. I'm there too. Any other bet for the early slate?
I feel like you're going to be with me on this one, but I love the Houston Texans -2.5.
Yes.
Tyrod Taylor's got us in this one. I feel very confident about it. 2 bad teams going at it. Give me Tyrod rushing for a couple of touchdowns, probably throwing for 250, maybe an interception. But Tyrod's going to Tyrod, it feels like, in that spot. And when I saw 2.5, I was like, oh, yeah, all day.
Yeah, I believe Zach Wilson is back for this game. And look, we're not talking about like good football teams. And if there's one thing the Houston Texans can do is with Tyrod Taylor under center, they can beat another shitty football team. I already took the Houston Texans -9.5. That is already locked in, ready to go. I think they win this game by multiple points, and it's not even close to me. if there's one player who's out there to prove himself right now, it's been Tyrod Taylor. Look at the way he played last week, man.
Yeah.
That guy played with reckless abandon, and you love to see it. And that's the kind of guy that a shitty team like this gets behind, man, and they play better because of it. Do you think the New York Jets are looking at Zach Wilson and being like, yeah, let's go? No, fuck no. Are the Houston Texans looking at Tyrod Taylor and the way he played last week and just how he's out there sacrificing his body for a fucking touchdown? Oh, dude. Houston by a billion to me. I mean, that's my lock of the week if I had to do anything, which is such a weird thing to say because they're both 2-8. But to me, that's my favorite bet of that early slate by a lot.
Another game that I do like is I do like the Patriots covering a touchdown at home. That I know it's 5 in a row. Streak's got to end at some point in time. I'm doubling it back to the Vrabel-Belichick thing. The last time the Patriots and Titans played in Foxborough, Vrabel got him in that wild card game, Tom Brady's last game in New England. I bet you Bill remembers that like it was yesterday. And that defense is going to come out and just whack that offense. If A.J. Brown is banged up, they don't have a running back. If they're going to put it all on Tannehill, look at every single time Tannehill played the Pats when he was with the Dolphins. It's just I don't feel like it's going to be a bowling shoe ugly Patriots, 28-10 win.
Well, the key there is when he's with the Dolphins. But I will say this. Okay, so this is where the Titans have played surprisingly better than I think a lot of people thought since Derrick Henry's absence. That being said, I don't know if I'm – okay, so here's where I'm at with this game. If you like the Patriots minus a 7, bet the Tannehill under 225.5 passing yards. If you like the Titans, bet the over 225.5 passing yards because that game will be 1,000% dictated on how well he plays. So an easy parlay, like just to boost your odds a little bit would be like, okay, so you want the Patriots? I would bet the Patriots minus 7, and I take the Tannehill under 225 because if they cover, it will because Tannehill played better than played good enough to keep them in that game. I mean that to me is exactly how it relies. I don't know. Julio's not back yet, right?
Nope, and I think A.J. Brown is out as well.
AJ's out too?
I believe so.
I don't have him on the injury report I'm looking at. And he did play last week.
Yeah, I thought
he left with the hand injury and then came back.
Tennessee Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown ruled out against the Patriots
Patriots by a billion. Then
yep.
I mean, if you give me Tannehill with both those guys in there, you give me Julio and AJ, I think this is the mid-mark of a competitive game. Without both those guys, goddamn, that's tough.
Yeah, that Patriots defense is back to being the Patriots defense.
I mean, when you have two options like that with AJ and you got Julio, then okay. Like now you're putting a little pressure and making them decide and you're able to do more things. But yeah, God, without both those guys, 7 points almost seems too light.
Yeah. Also in the early slate, I like both Florida teams outright. I might take just a small Dolphins money line part. The Cam Newton hype is just not there for me, and it feels like the Falcons are cooked. Let's roll the dice a little bit. Can't be any worse than it was last weekend.
All right. So I would not touch Jacksonville, Atlanta. Not gonna touch it. Nothing about me wants to even think about that game. I won't watch it. I won't think about it. I won't bet it. I won't do anything because I have tried Atlanta multiple times this year, and every single time they fuck me. Doesn't matter who's playing for that team. I love Kyle Pitts because he's become kind of a grown-ass man before our eyes.
Yes, he has.
In a lot of those weeks. But here's the thing. He's a tight end, and he's not great enough to carry the Atlanta Falcons team. He's not like Calvin Johnson is out there. I mean, he's a great addition, but when Matt Ryan can't get him the football, doesn't fucking matter. So yeah, and my feelings on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's might be the most overrated number 1 overall pick since Jamarcus Russell, but that's a conversation for a different day. And I would not touch that game with a 10-foot pole. That being said, I will take the other one, and I'm going to go opposite.
Ooh,
I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers -2. I get they lost last week, but that Carolina team has seemed so revamped and so much better since getting Cam back. Now, if there's one thing we know, if CMC is playing, he does make the quarterback look 1,000 times better. Because look at Sam Darnold's record with Christian Michael McCaffrey, and look at his record without him. Now you give me Cam 3 weeks into being back on this team, and it's not like they played bad last week. I mean, they were competitive against a Washington team who I think is playing a lot better the last few weeks.
Definitely.
So that being said, to me, the Miami Dolphins are a fucking train wreck. And you've got a team on the rise, and you've got a team that doesn't even know what they are. You're talking about a team whose rumors for weeks was they were going to take a guy with 22 sexual assault convictions and trade away their starting quarterback for that guy.
But the Dolphins have won 3 football games in a row.
So I get it. Yeah, okay. But, I mean, you beat the Jets. You beat a Ravens team who I feel like anybody could beat on any given Sunday because God knows what the fuck they are. And then you beat the Texans. You play good against the Texans, you should beat them. That's – and Tyrod wasn't even back for that game yet, was he?
I think that was his first game back.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so first game back, yeah. All right.
I think we took the Texans in that one because Tyrod was back.
Tyrod came back, and it did not work out. That being said, I am all over Carolina -2. I just think there's an energy in that building right now that Miami can't match. They have something to be excited about. Miami doesn't.
Jalen Phillips will make himself very familiar with Cam Newton on Sunday.
Probably. That being said, this game could be 14-12.
Yeah. With a botched 2-point conversion at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really shitty, ugly game, most likely. Yes. I like the team with a little bit more motivation, a little bit more hype at the moment. Winning that game is where I'm going with that play. But I do like it. Anything in the NFC East battle of the shitty Eagles and the shitty Giants?
The Eagles, obviously a little bit of a hot streak. The NFC East, if you take the underdog plus the points, it consistently hits. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I'm staying away from it. I can see the Eagles winning by 3. I can see the Eagles winning by 21. I just don't know. And a lot of times, Danny Dimes can shine. We've seen him shine against the Eagles in the past. So this is just I can't tell you which way it's going to go. I'm leaning towards the Giants, and I've done this multiple times, and it's never worked out. I'm leaning there strictly because I do think the Giants have played weirdly really good at times, and then weirdly very bad at times. I mean, you look at the first half of the Tampa Bay game. It was 10-3, 10-0. Yeah. It was very close, and it was largely in part of that defense. Get Jason Garrett out of there. Yep.
Let's shake things up a little bit. And this seems to me a coach gets fired. Now we change what's going on, because think about the Giants right now. Think about, if Daniel Jones plays well, you've got Saquon back there who has not ran for more than 40 yards this entire year, I don't think, in a single game. But it's still
has the potential to.
He's not a great running back, but I think he's a good running back. Like, I mean, he's not Derrick Henry. I don't think he's not Jonathan Taylor, but he's still pretty good. I mean, I think this offense is better than obviously what they've been showing for weeks in and weeks out. So, when you give me a division game and they're at home, I lean that way, but I don't know if at the end of the day I have enough to take it.
Yeah. It's just one of those where I think we're going to learn a lot about the Eagles in that game.
Yeah.
And see where they're at year to date, especially with the Cowboys struggles. That could get really interesting over the next month. But
a lot of hype on the Eagles, winning 3 of the last 4, especially that Saints win. Played the Chargers close, but the Chargers, who knows what they are right now. Do we want to talk about the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game or just move on?
Let's move on. I can't. If anything, I want the Steelers to win because I have a future totals on the Steelers. So
I have a division-winning parlay with the Steelers involved as the winner of that division. So I root for the Steelers. I could care less who wins the game in cover because I will not fucking touch it. I might take some prop bet, like player prop bets in that game once I look deeper into it, but I'm not going to play it at all. So afternoon slate, we got 3 games.
Are you taking Teddy at home?
I think the LA Chargers -2.5 is a sucker line, and I will take the Denver Broncos.
Yes. Chargers are just so up and down this season. Yep. Like, you just can't get a grip on them. I'll probably stay away from it just because they could show up. But I will fully endorse you taking Teddy Two Gloves at home.
Look, to me, this is a line that should be probably closer to 7 than it is 2.5. And what that is telling me is that Vegas is going to make suckers out of everybody who believes in Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers, as inconsistent as they have been. 2.5 against the Denver Broncos team who has struggled most of the year and only beaten really bad teams. To me, this is an absolute sucker line. If sucker line, if I think I've ever seen one, so I'll take the Broncos. Just going against that, and then of course you got to, factor in my love of Teddy covers at home getting points.
Yeah, and
I would imagine, and I will look it up right now, what the public is thinking.
I'm going to be on the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers get bet a lot every week. 61% of the money on the Chargers right now, which is actually a lot less than I thought it was going to be.
But you also look at, too, like the Chargers' run defense is awful. And when Denver wants to, they can run the football. Yeah. So it's just if they can establish that run early, get a little bit of a cushion, pin their ears back, and get after young Justin, swing in the Broncos' favor.
Well, and the Broncos are so streaky. I mean, they won 3 straight, then they lost 4, then they won 2. They lost 1. I mean, they could lose this one, but I mean, they're playing. They had that 4-game slide, right in the middle of the season, and I mean, you're talking about a team who beat the living dog shit out of the Cowboys. They beat Washington, who's starting to play better, and then do I count the Eagles' loss against them when they're actually playing fairly well,
right,
at the moment? So I think Denver's playing better. And look, you could look at that defense and be like, "Well, they traded away Von Miller." Miller, I don't think ever fit into that defense as well as people thought he was. To me, Von Miller is a very, very over. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good football. When you call somebody overrated, everyone thinks like, "Well, wow, he doesn't suck." Well, it's like, no, but I don't think he's.
It's not 2016.
Yeah, like I don't think like. It's not that I'm saying he's not a good football player, but it's like he doesn't have the value he did, like 4 years ago.
Right.
I mean, he's not. I mean, if you lose a Von Miller, could you get a younger guy in there and play just as well? Yeah, probably. Now, sure.
That's why they moved on from him.
Yeah.
It's not.
So, I mean, I don't think the defense takes a big hit that he's not there anymore. Because guess what? I haven't heard his name called a whole lot this fucking year, and I've watched quite a few Broncos games because I bet most of them.
Yeah, and it really hasn't done much in LA either, because we all know how much I love Sean McVay.
Yeah. So that being said, Sean McVay, here's what I want to hear from you. The Green Bay Packers versus Sean McVay and the Rams.
So talk about teams that you watch a lot. I don't think there's two football teams that I have watched more now that John Gruden is not the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But you look at what the Rams have looked like the last couple of weeks, and then you look at what the Packers defense looked like last week. I think if this game is played later in the season, it favors the Rams because OBJ will be settled in. He'll know the offense, but it's a one-man show in that passing game. Odell Beckham does not scare me. If the Packers can take Cooper Kupp away or limit him, I mean, you can't take Cooper Kupp away. It's physically impossible. But if you can limit him, the familiarity with Matt Stafford, Joe Barry familiarity with those Los Angeles Rams defenders, I think is really going to help the Packers internally in preparation for this game. We know Matt LaFleur and Coach McVay are boys. Matt LaFleur has never lost 2 games in a row in any season as the Green Bay Packers head coach. I know it's small sample size, but this is reminding me of that 34-31 loss to the Colts that the Packers had last season, and then just put it together and just started winning games. I'm going to sit and let the public ride LA, and then I'm going to take the best odds that I can on the money line on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field Sunday.
Weirdly, too, most of the public money is on Green Bay as we speak.
Really?
Even though in some places that line has now moved down to -1.5 for the Rams. That being said, there is so very many things to think about for this game, which is, I think, it's by far the most exciting game and the most anticipated game of the weekend by a lot. So you talk about LaFleur after a loss. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers after a loss.
Yes.
How often does he lose back-to-back games? I don't think he's done it since his first year as a starter in Green Bay. Well, there was a couple bad years in there, but very rarely does that happen.
Well, and he looked like himself for the first time all season last week.
Yeah, and you're talking about a team who's 7-3 versus a team that's 8-3. Packers are 9-2 against the spread. Rams are 4-6.
Yep.
And most of those games, the Packers have been favored. Now you're going to give them points?
Yes.
To me, this sets up very well for the Packers coming off of the loss. Rarely do you see them lose 2 in a row. They are, I mean, you know damn well the number 1 seed is on their mind, and that's where they're thinking, and that's where they're going to go. We talk about strength of schedule a lot in college football, but also, too, Rams, 22nd worst strength of schedule played thus far this year. Green Bay, 10th. And you got a team who's 8-3. They just lost. And I don't take a lot of I don't read into the Vikings loss a whole lot because the Packers either go 6-0 in the division or they go 5-1, and that one loss is always to Minnesota. Like that's how it seems like it always happens year in and year out.
Yep. You can count on it happening once.
So that being said, I am leaning. Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers plus minus whatever they're given. I'll just go money line because I do think they win the game. If this was in SoFi, I'd have to think a little bit harder. But this is in Lambeau Field, and I don't think you can bet against Aaron Rodgers at home after a loss in a big game like this.
And I'll tell
you know, like the only thing that concerns me, and you brought up Cooper Kupp, is the battered corners that we have so far right now. Because Eric Stokes did not look great last week covering Justin Jefferson. I I mean, he's never looked great covering Justin Jefferson. You can go back to college, and he's never been able to really do a whole lot against him when he was at Georgia and he was at LSU. But look, I think but he still does have two pretty good safeties back there to help him out. And while I think points are scored, I do believe it'll be the Packers' day at the end of the day. So offensive line is very battered too. It doesn't also bode well for the Packers. It surprises me too that the public is still on the Packers without Bakhtiari, without Elton Jenkins, and they had the defensive front for the Rams. It just seems like most people would be on the Rams, but
yeah, and as much as the Rams that I've watched this season, we've talked about it. A defense is not last year's defense.
They're weirdly. I mean, for a while it was bend don't break and then hold inside the 20s, but goddamn, they just aren't. When you look at who's on the defense, you would think,
yeah,
this is the best defense in the league, but they don't play like it.
Nope. They sit in that little soft zone. They try to put the clamps on you inside the 20s, but sometimes it's too late.
I do have a prop bet for that game. Regardless of the outcome, like I said with the Tannehill game, I think Rodgers under 274, I believe it's at right now. I'm going to go under because if there's one thing Aaron Rodgers can do, he can throw 5 touchdown passes and only throw for 300 or 245 yards. And that's all he needs to do because he's done it before. He's done it many times. And the Rams have only given up that many passing yards in a game. I think I just had it up, but not many times. So I would take his under, but I would still take him whatever his over under for touchdowns is. I'd still probably take that. So let's see. 3 games this year, they've given up more than 278. And guess what? Rodgers doesn't need to throw for a shit ton of yards to be competitive.
Nope. The other game that I like in the afternoon, I like the Niners to cover at home.
Bam. There it is.
I really do. They're playing their football right now.
Yeah. The thing with the Niners and the Vikings is, okay, so everyone's going to think like, oh, the Vikings just beat the Packers, so they must be really good. Well, the Vikings typically beat the Packers. Yeah. Vikings are taking 84% of the money right now.
Ooh.
If there was ever a game I was fading the public, it would be this one. Because the Niners are not a sexy team at all. I mean, when you think about the way they're playing football, like, they don't look good doing it, but they do it. And this is not a big spread. This is not a big margin. I think they can cover this easy, to be honest. And the Vikings are streaky, man.
Yeah, and Kittle back with that Niners offense is really the difference.
It's a big helpful. It's a big plus for them.
Yeah, they're a completely different offense when he's on the field.
I mean, this year, I think when he's played, though, it's not like it's been super great, but I think just the boost of, the energy there, just knowing he's on the field. Because, I mean, we seen Kittle just a couple of weeks ago against the Rams. Didn't he? He destroyed the shit out of Von Miller. Yeah. Tattooed him.
Yeah, everybody on that defense.
I mean, and Kittle's one of those weird things where I think he's almost underrated as a tight end, honestly, which is weird to think because I think people consider him like one of the better ones in the league. But the fact of the matter is, all the tight ends we talk about, like Travis Kelce and whoever, none of them block like Kittle does.
And if they do, they don't block like that.
Like Kittle will pancake your ass. Yeah, and then he'll go out and score a 60-yard touchdown. Like,
yeah, he's not chipping you and heading on his route. He's making a block on that play. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, Kittle is weirdly underrated when you talk about like some of the better ones around, like the Ingrams or the Hawkinsons or the Kelce's of the world. No one, none of those guys are taking Von Miller and just pancaking his ass. I mean, he's he's a tight end who's a game changer and just a massive boost to the offense in the passing game and the run game.
Yes,
which is huge, which is so undervalued. Yeah, the Niners at home. Niners aren't a great covering team, but they again had their slide too. Where I mean, they played Green Bay, they played Seattle, played the Cardinals, then they played the Colts. Do I blame them for losing? I mean, I hold it against them for losing 4 in a row? No, because they played 4 really good teams. So yeah, coming into this one where I think the Vikings on any given day could just be terrible or they could be good. Who knows? But yeah, Kirk Cousins, I don't know. I think they get after him, and I think they make him. I think they make him work.
Yeah, and Fred Warner's pretty goddamn good linebacker.
No, he's okay.
Yeah. It's this Niners team. Health has always been their issue, and they're healthy. So, I mean, looking at it, when I was breaking down some of these games, and I'm looking at teams that I don't want the Packers to run into this postseason, I don't want them to run into a healthy Niners team.
Well, it's been the Niners for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
It feels like, and if Elijah Mitchell was playing, I'd move that line to 10. I like that guy a lot. Yeah. I think he's a really good running back. I really do. I like him very much. And I think he's questionable at the moment, but yeah. I think he's the goods, man. I think he's a guy who is going to consistently make teams pay, and he's not a guy you got to pay a ton right now because look, I mean,
especially up there.
So, and I think largely too, I think you look at the 49ers offensive line, very good offensive line, and you could kind of plug and play running backs in there, but I like him a lot. I think he's become like to me, Darnell Mooney is one of the most underrated wide receivers in all of the NFL because the amount of plays has been able to make on such a shitty Bears offense.
Yes.
Like I bet his over receiving prop every single game because it's always like 55 or 50 or and 45
yard catch.
And he'll catch one for 45 and he gets it. So to me, Darnell Mooney's the kind of guy where like I can't wait to see if he ever gets out of Chicago to see what he can do because I think it'll be awesome.
Well, and you look at the Niners want to run the football.
Right.
The Minnesota Vikings have a bottom 5 run defense.
Yep.
I think that's going to ultimately be the factor for it.
Yeah. And it almost didn't matter who's taking the handoffs from Garoppolo because, I mean, it's just, you get behind that offensive line, make holes. I mean, you could have anybody. You could have Ryan Nall back there and he's gonna have a 100-yard game. I mean, that's just how it is.
Are you touching the Sunday night game?
I hate the primetime games. Suck.
Yeah, like you want to talk about the Lions and Bears being bad. The Monday night game is probably shaping up to be a lot like that. Although I think Washington at home in a pick'em, but all day am I taking the football team.
Well, yeah, Washington is playing so much better. I think this is kind of more along the lines of the football team that a lot of people thought was going to be this whole season, and it turns out they weren't. Defense has been playing like 1,000 times better. Yeah. Even going back to like the Broncos game, even though they couldn't get anything going offensively, I mean, it still held them to 17 points.
Yeah,
you hold a team in the NFL to 17 points, you should be able to win that game.
Yep.
And then you went out against the defending champs, who you took to the wire in the playoffs last year, and that was a turning point for this Washington football team, because that was the big thing you had last year, and then this year you've been kind of up and down at certain times, and then you go out and you beat the defending champs, the team that you had on the ropes. To me that was a turning point where I think we'll see a lot better football out of this team. And then again, I talk about the Carolina Panthers, who I think had all of the hype in the world after Cam coming back, and they played a really good game. The Panthers did in that game, and Washington still held on to win that game. So I think they're about to make a run.
Yep. Really and I feel like Dallas losing yesterday too is going to provide some spark out of teams like Philadelphia, teams like Washington that can put together a little bit of run and make that division competitive. I don't think the Giants will, but I think the other two might.
Because look, even at 4-6, I believe 5-6 is like the Vikings were 5-5.
Yep.
Or are 5-5 coming into this week, and are the 6th seed.
Yes.
In the playoffs. So Washington is by no means out of the hunt.
No.
So this is a big one for them. And in a pick'em game like this where Seattle does not look good at all.
And it feels like everybody's going for the end of the Carroll Wilson era. Like I mentioned, my group chat of my guys in Washington texting me to take Washington State. They're on board with it. They're like, "Thank you for everything you've done. It's time to cut ties on both. Let's just start over." But they don't even have their first round pick because they traded it for Jamal Adams.
the safety linebacker combo, which is always great. I'd go Washington there. I would imagine the public is probably on that with us, because how the fuck do you bet the Seahawks in that game? Nope, Seahawks, 70% of the money. Right now, the Seahawks. Wow. So the other primetime game, let's cover it real fast, and we'll get out of here. We got to talk about Sunday nights. Browns Ravens. Let's go. I don't know where I want to go there.
I don't either.
Don't know at all.
I mean,
I believe Lamar is back. If correct or no?
You just don't know what Browns team is going to show up. And with Baker's comments this week and all of that stuff going on, that feels like, but it could also be that prime fuck you game when they just routed the Bengals. Not that I don't think they're going to rout them, but
right.
I mean, you're going to get the team that routed the Bengals, and you're going to get the team that could hardly beat the Lions with Tim Boyle at quarterback.
So to me, this boils down to is the jolt the offense will get with Lamar Jackson back.
Yeah.
And then, you talk about an organization who is just in shambles right now. I mean, not as bad as what the Bears are, but you think about Baker and, Cleveland right now is playing for they're trying to figure out two things. Do we keep Baker and move on from here? Because this is, I believe, the last year of his contract, and we need to make the playoffs, which is two very
different things.
Yes. So, I mean, that's all Cleveland is thinking about right now. Is we're trying to make a run at this. And if we do, I mean, is Baker our guy? Is he the guy of the future for Cleveland? And I don't even know. I mean, do we commit to that? Do we not? So many questions there, as opposed to a Ravens team who's played pretty solid given the injuries that they've had all year long. So I would lean Ravens there.
Here's one of the stranger things, and I don't think I've ever seen this. So the Browns play the Ravens Sunday night, sorry. They have a bye, and then they play the Ravens at home after the bye. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Who did that? I think Cleveland did the same exact thing with somebody else 2 years ago. I think they played Pittsburgh. They played Pittsburgh. They had a bye, and then I think they played Pittsburgh again, 2 years ago, I believe. So I don't know how Cleveland gets stuck with these weird fucking schedules, but they continue to do the same.
I almost want to sit this one out and pull for the Browns just because of those futures that we both have on the Steelers winning the North.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a big yeah, it was like a $5 bet to win like fucking 2,000 for me. So
Yeah.
in my parlay where I've got like, the Packers and I've got the Colts and I've got somebody else, like all the division winners right now, and I've got the Steelers winning the division. So that's who I'm rooting for at the end of the day. So let's go Steelers against the Bengals, and then hopefully we can make some noise here in the Monday night game as well. So that is it for the slate of football for the next 2 days. Anything you want to end on real fast, or?
No, looking to get back into winning ways this weekend. It was a tough stretch last weekend. Kind of sad. This is the last full college slate weekend. We've got championship games next weekend, and then bowl season starts. So
let's go Huskies.
We're getting there. Yeah, we got some championship games to dive into this week. Should be next week. This weekend should be fun. We got some fun games on the slate tomorrow.
Yeah, this will be a great weekend. I do think, there's places to make money here for sure. Will we make the money? Probably not, but hopefully, let's go.
Hey, we've never claimed to be good at this. We just claim to enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, I do enjoy it a lot. At this point right now, I never would have imagined in a million years, if you'd told me 4 years ago, that I'd be a better horse gambler than I am a football gambler, then I'd have told you you're fucking insane.
Yeah.
But it turns out that I'm weirdly better at that now. That being said, I'm going to dive heavily tomorrow into player prop bets because that's where I've been making my money. Like I said, I had the Mooney over the 55, and I had the alternate receiving yards on Darnell Mooney over 100 on the Bears game. I had that great Thursday night game with the Cincinnati Bengals where I just bet a bunch of player props and didn't see the game at all. That's where I've been making my money right now. So I'm going to dive heavily into that. Again, I'm going to go with the Rodgers under. If you think the Titans win, then you got to take the Tannehill over 225. You think they're going to lose, take it the under because that game will largely depend on his performance. So, especially with AJ Brown and Julio Jones out, it almost seems like a trap to take the under. He might probably go over now, but I'm going to dive heavily into props and put that up for Sunday. D-Rest told me to marry a Philly. If I could marry Gamine, I would, but unfortunately, it's frowned upon by the public, so I cannot.
I do think we need to end it on a compliment for the two of us. Riding with Lane Kiffin and Matt Corral all season like we have with the old Rebs getting their first ever 10-win season. That was shocking when they said that was the first ever 10-win season. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. I was riding them last night, made me some money, gave some back this morning.
Bring Lane back to LA. Let's go.
Hey, if he's not going to Miami, I'm good with him staying at Ole Miss or going back to LA. But he's at the top of the Miami Hurricanes wish list.
I mean, at this point, though, I get you're going to lose Matt Corral. Do you stay there or do you move on?
If you got Arch Manning waiting in the wings, why not?
That's true.
DJ Durkin's calling a pretty strong defensive efforts. But then again, like, why stay in the SEC West? You're always going to have to deal with Nick Saban. Right. LSU's going to bounce back. Auburn should, they'll have a good season every 4 years.
Yeah.
Texas A&M still has Jimbo Fisher sitting there. It's not like he's god-awful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The coaching carousel that will go on, whether it be the NFL and or college football from here on out, is going to be very fun to watch.
Oh, but I did see that Lincoln Riley has some interesting new followers on Instagram. I saw a post.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. LSU's basketball coach followed him. 3 of LSU's top recruits followed him. So that's making me look at Oklahoma State a little bit harder tomorrow if Lincoln Riley's 1 foot out the door heading to Baton Rouge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. If they told me that Coach O was going to go to USC after leaving LSU, dude, I'm all for it. All for it. All for it.
All he
That
needs to
dude's
do is recruit. Just get two guys that can call an offense and call a defense, and you just recruit your little ass off.
Well, I mean, it's to him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, I mean, look, okay. So Matt Nagy they've been chanting "Fire Nagy" at every massive stadium in Chicago for 2 weeks now, and high school football games. They chant "Fire Nagy." Like, I mean, it's
got to be brutal for his kid.
Which is, I thought that was the most hilarious thing I think I'd ever seen in my entire life. Like, shout out to that student section who started chanting "Fire Nagy" during his kid's high school football game, because that's a brilliant move and an awesome move. But to me, at this point, same thing with Dan Campbell. Actually, more so Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is not. He's not an offensive guru. He's not a defensive guru. He's not even a good coach, to be honest.
He's a tight ends coach.
He's a motivator. Like, if you told me, like, if you had Kellen Moore as your OC, and then, like, somebody really good for a defensive coordinator, whoever it may be, whatever name you want to put in there, and then you had him as the head coach, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can get behind that. But when you're calling the plays and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, like we talk about the Lions every week, we're like, oh, they play very inspired. Well, that's great. But when you can play as inspired as you want, when your coach is fucking dog shit and doesn't know how to call plays or doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
Like a motivator, like when you talk about like styles of coaching, a motivator needs smart X's and O's people behind him. And Dan Campbell does not have that.
Like, I was in shock because, I mean, I watch a lot of football, dabbled in coaching a little bit. We've both been on that side of the fence. But when I'm watching that and I'm calling plays from the couch, what do you think NFL defensive coordinators are doing watching the Lions offense?
Like, we're not going to predict your offense. Like, any defensive coordinator in the NFL knows the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's not trying to brag me up. It's pointing out that this is not good. I should not be picking up NFL offenses from the couch.
When I could play Madden and call better plays, sort of like, okay.
3rd and 32, halfback draw. No shit. Was
3rd and 32 twice in one game? That is the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever seen.
And literally, they had like a 2nd and 20, and it was just lined up by formation. I think it was in the gun. The back was lined up on the weak side. It's like they're literally running a screen on the left side, and then the defense just.
Oh yeah. Oh man, good call. No, I don't. And I said this too to somebody when Goff was 14 for 15 at one point in time in that game. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback have a 95% completion percentage or 90% completion percentage and above and look that bad.
Yeah.
Because no throw he made looked impressive. In the 14 of 15 completions, they were either good catches by the receivers or difficult catches by the receivers, or it was to somebody who was wide open and he threw a duck that looked like a fucking punt that was almost end over end. I mean, that was one of the worst offensive displays.
Yeah, I mean, the throw to Josh Reynolds, wasn't good. But you take that out of the yardage total of what he was at when he was 14 for 15, it might be 50 yards. Like,
yeah, he was
legitimately.
He was 9 for 9 with 83.
So you take 40. It was a 40-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, and he was like, when he was like 14 for 15, I think he had like 123 or something like that. Like, it wasn't. Like, it was. Okay, if Aaron Rodgers completes 14 to 15 passes to start a game, the Packers are winning 21-0.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When Jared Goff does it, they're somehow losing still.
I saw D-Rest in the chat ask if I'm that wrestler guy. Not anymore. Nobody really wants to see that anymore. I don't know if anybody actually ever.
The people need to see it. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really need to see the wrestling. They just need to see all of the other extracurricular shit. Well, somebody's got to get their ass kicked and bump around a little bit.
Yeah, well, we never claimed to be great wrestlers. We were entertainers.
And good ones at that.
Yes. That was our whole wrestling career. Mine, for sure.
It was like that FSU run where they had like all of that talent in the locker room, and all of a sudden we're the tag team champions because we would get the most reaction out of the audience.
For like a week and a half.
Yeah.
We dropped it to two people who'd made their debut that night. What a fucking run that was. All right. Well, so going forward, I reached out to our buddy O'Brien Schofield about possibly doing the Wisconsin and Minnesota game tomorrow. I have not heard back from him, so unfortunately we don't have him. I don't know if we'll be doing the live stream tomorrow, but as of right now, those are our picks, and we're sticking to them. And hopefully we get back on track, because that's not what we have not been on track for a couple of weeks now. Hot start, not so much lately. Yes, I did wrestle. This was a former championship tag team. D-Rest.
Yeah. Come on, D-Rest. Like we were toast of the West Coast for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
AJ cured paralysis by himself on his own.
D-Rest, if you go back far enough into mine or his Twitter, you will find some photos of the two of us that make zero sense, and rightfully so. They shouldn't have, and because we were legends in Las Vegas for about 6 weeks.
And just like it is so crazy because that roster was loaded with people that you see on national television every single night now.
Oh yeah, we were doing our stupid shit, and then like Karrion Kross was the main event at the time.
Yeah, it's like Karrion Kross and Brian Cage on last. Ricker would come to town and be on last.
And then there was us like match 3 doing stupid shit.
I remember when we did that show at the casino that was like in Mesquite, and I was so mad because we were on the second half of the show. I'm like, no, let's just get this out of the way and done with early. Come on.
Every time we showed up, whenever I showed up to FSW, if we weren't like match 1 or 2, I was like, okay, no, like I don't want to sit around and wait here.
No.
I want to get this over with, and I want to have fun, and then I want to get drunk for the rest of the day. Or go out to the casino and waste the $30 I made that night.
Wait, you got 30 from him? I always love the independent promoters that would come give you an envelope with cash in it. It's like, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Well, did I ever tell you about when Ricker, after we wrestled at what was the Samstown? Not Samstown.
Silverton.
What was it?
Silverton, right?
Silverton. Yeah. So Eli Drake, Sean Ricker, the LA Knight, whatever you want to call him, he was my roommate at the time. For those of you who don't know, so he has this like big theory where if he plays roulette and he waits for like waits for it to go black 3 times in a row, he bets red. Now, little does he understand at the time, and I tried to tell him this. Okay, it does not matter because your odds are still 50-50, or less than like 48-48, because you got the 2 green spots there. Like, so it doesn't matter. Like, if there's 3 reds in a row and you bet black, the odds are still the fucking same, man. I watched Sean Ricker bet red 7 times in a row and lose all 7 times at the roulette table.
I'm sure you got a little bit more than $30. He was a little bit more relevant and important to the top part of those shows.
Doesn't matter. He lost everything. It was because he waited for like 2 or 3 like blacks in a row, and what happens? It goes red 7 times in a row. As I'm sitting there watching, just enjoying my life, watching him lose every single time.
And he said, pro wrestling, you react to everything, especially when you're in like wrestling brain mode. So I can only imagine his reactions just going through all that.
Well, I kept telling him like your odds don't change just because the other three were red. It's still the same every single time. But no, that was his theory because I think he read it on the internet somewhere and got into it and went for it. And God love him for trying 7 times in a row and not hitting it. But
yeah, anytime at the roulette table, 2 at max. If I lose, I'm done. So it's probably good that I got one tattooed on my body. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's as a reminder.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, you'd think you'd learn too if you bet like the Giants twice in a row. Like, don't bet the Giants anymore. But what do I do? For some reason, I always bet the Giants or the Vikings. I don't know why. There's some teams I bet on every week. There's always that one team you bet on, and you're like disgusted with yourself for ever thinking in a million years that this team would win.
And it's always early that you know it too.
Yeah. It's like you watch one drive and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? This is so then you try to hedge like money line for the other team. But all right, well, let's get out of here. We'll keep you all updated. If we can get a Brian Schofield on tomorrow for the Wisconsin game, we will definitely do that. If not, I don't know. Maybe do we do Ohio State, Michigan, or no?
If you want, I know you got family stuff. If not, maybe we can jump on afternoon Sunday with the Pack and Rams. I don't know if you got anything with horses.
Pack live stream, huh?
Can do that.
All right. Well, we'll decide here in the next couple hours and throw it up there. Thanks, D-Rest, for showing up. Peace out. We'll see you probably very soon because D-Rest, good dude, always in the chat. And good luck to everyone out there. If you fade us, if you tail us, if you don't care at all, regardless, good luck. If you've tailed us, obviously we've been a great money-making source the last 6 weeks. If you've tailed me, you've probably done really well.
If you fade me
faded me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you faded me in the NFL last week, you should tip me something, please.
Well, honestly, the number one play on this show is to fade Cintron during the early college slate.
Yes. So that Georgia is doomed. Well,
no, that's the only one you hit.
Yeah, it's Georgia first half.
Yeah, so don't fade that one. But I would imagine the ROI on Cintron early college football games has been very good.
Yeah, I mean, extremely profitable. I think 1 week I was 2-1, and then I lost everything else. But I will say, anytime I just get my ass handed to me in the early slate, I pretty much
the night games, yeah, you pick it up. Well, that's been my entire NFL. The noon games I can't do for shit. I will go 4-0 or 3-1 in the afternoon in the NFL every single week. It was the only reason I still have money. Otherwise, I'd be broke.
Hey, I got a complimentary $20 from the Red Rock in my online account for Thanksgiving. So shout out to them. That's very, very nice email to get on Wednesday.
Yeah. What's that going on?
Well, it actually went towards Ole Miss last night. So we're looking at what dogs we want to take outright tomorrow. But it might be saved for the NFL Sunday for that Jacksonville Miami parlay that I want to throw down so bad.
Oh, God, no.
It's the grossest. It's the gross. But hey, last season, if there was a time when I would have said, hey, I'm going to do a Jets-Bengals money line parlay, it would have been the week when the Jets beat the Rams and the Bengals beat the Steelers because they were both like plus 500.
Well, that same thing happened with Jacksonville when they beat the Bills, and who was the other shitty team that won that week? Just a week or two ago.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago.
It was like and the Jets. No, not the week Jets beat the Titans. It was
Come on, Scores, let's go.
Somebody else had a big. Because they talked about if you would have parlayed the two shit teams together.
No, that was week 9. That was the Broncos because they were the 10-point dogs at Dallas.
No, maybe that's not what I'm thinking of then. There was a week where if you parlayed two together, you were in. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was them. Oh, maybe the Dolphins beating. No, the Dolphins. They were only 8 points. There's two like double-digit.
Yeah, because
underdogs.
The Broncos were 10-point dogs at Dallas.
Is that what it was? Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, this NFL season has been kind of just out of control almost, I'd say, because there's been some stupid wins by stupid teams. I mean, how if you would have told me coming into this year at all that the Jacksonville Jaguars would have beaten the Buffalo Bills,
I would have laughed you out of the room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, there's been some just stupid, or how about the Jets beating the Titans?
Yeah, no.
I mean, for real.
It's the NFL.
Any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody. That being said, let's all take then. I don't know who's like the biggest upset. Let's all take. There's actually not a lot of huge spreads like we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
The Pats are probably the biggest spread at 7. Off top of my head.
That's nuts, huh?
Yep, it is. That is the biggest spread this week.
So your number one overall seed in the AFC still are they still the Titans? Yeah.
Yep. We're 7-point dogs.
Our 7-point favorites. It's the biggest line of the weekend.
Nothing else is more than 3.5. Nothing else.
Wow.
It's a guessing game this weekend, boys.
Wow. I didn't even. Yeah. Until we said that, I didn't. Wow. Every game is 3.5 points, except for the number one overall seed is actually 7-point underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're all fucked.
Yep.
Good luck to anybody playing.
Yeah.
This. Jesus. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Hopefully, we can get O'Brien Schofield on for tomorrow. If not, we'll let you know. In the meantime, might be doing a last-second Michigan-Ohio State. Because of my height, I shoot away from all sports except for thoroughbred racing. If I go to any track, I still get approached.
Of course. Because you're celeb.
Yeah. Big time. All right. Well, we'll see you all tomorrow, maybe. If not, then we will see you next week for hopefully what is a better slate than this. Because damn, I did.
Yeah.
This became a lot. I didn't even think of how bad this was until just now. But thanks all for watching. We will see you guys next week or tomorrow, maybe. Who knows?